Okay, so the title of this retreat is Dizang's Most Intimate. So I'll be sharing with you a story from the Book of Serenity. It's a book of koans, and this comes from ancient China, and these are stories that are conversations between a teacher and a student. And these conversations are meant to help us to wake up to some aspect of reality that we may not see if we're not kind of paying closer attention to our life. So I invite you to listen to the story, see if it and just see what you can garner from it. The language is a little bit, the English translation may be a little bit difficult to understand, because we're not used to speaking in these ways. But let me share with you this story. This is a story, and then there's commentary about the story. So we'll look at both, a little bit of both. Dizang, that's the name of a Chinese teacher, Dizang, asked Fa Yan, "Where are you going?" We can stop right there and ask ourselves that question right here. Where are we going? Where are we going with our practice? Or where do we think that our meditation is going to take us to? Meditation, sometimes we look at it as a kind of a vehicle to take us from where we are to where we want to be. So where is that? Where do we want to be? Maybe consider asking ourselves that question. Where are you going? Where are you going with this practice? Fa Yan said, around on pilgrimage. So Fa Yan is actually taking his walking stick and going someplace. He's leaving the temple. This was a common thing to do, where you practice at a temple for, say, 3 months or maybe 3 years, and then you leave the temple and you have your practice tested in the world to see how much you've actually integrated. So Fa Yan he's going around on pilgrimage. Dizang, his teacher, said, "What is the purpose of pilgrimage? What is the purpose of leaving?" And Fa Yan said, here's a really interesting response, "I don't know." Now, what would you say? What would you say if somebody were to ask you, what's the purpose? Why are you going to do that? You'd probably want to, if it was me, I would want to come up with a response that made sense. Like, I have a clear destination of where I'm going. But Fa Yan has the confidence and the courage to say, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know. Or I don't know what the purpose is, rather. I don't know what the purpose is. In our society, we're so driven by having a purpose, having a focus, stay on task. And we all get caught up in this. I do too. But how about that? Going out with not really knowing where you're going, or what your purpose is, what your intention is. We don't. So, in a sense, this story is giving us permission to be okay with not having a purpose. It frees us up. We don't have to be that goal-driven. Dizang said, and this is the final part of the story, his teacher, he says, not knowing is most intimate. Not knowing is most intimate. I can't help, when I was reading this story, since my son is just 14 months old, I really see him right now as my main teacher. I feel like he probably is. It's not that he understands that story, because he doesn't have the mental capacity to do that. However, he's living it. He's living that. He's constantly in this space. 14 months old. I think of it. He's helping me as I prepare to go to Japan. I've been studying Japanese, studying the language. As I prepare to go to Haiti, also been kind of wanting to learn more Haitian Creole. And I think about how difficult it is for me to learn a language that's not my own. And the state of mind that puts me in kind of an anxious place, and yet at the same time wanting to be able to communicate. And my 14-month-old son is every day he wakes up and he starts uttering things out of his mouth that sometimes make sense and sometimes don't. And you could just feel the struggle there of wanting to move out of a place of non-clarity into a place of clarity. It's such a kind of a natural human response to the experience of not knowing and of wanting to connect more deeply. So I see that, and I'm inspired to continue to learn myself and to be okay with coming to this place of not knowing. Being okay with, I say with myself as I am, and at the same time desiring, thirsting to communicate with others in a way that makes sense. We all have been there. We've all been there. And as we mature, as we get older, we come to, and we're able to master certain levels of communication. And sometimes we can get stuck there. We can just stay in that place of, okay, I know what I'm saying now. I know that a door is a door, a carpet is a carpet, a wall is a wall, you are you. And we can even say that we know different people, we know their personalities, we know who they are. And the downside of that is that it prevents us from opening up to the mystery of what a person might actually be. We get stuck in this view of people or things that doesn't reflect the whole of what they are, no matter who they are or what they've done. Our concepts of who they are oftentimes prevent us from entering into a more profound kind of communication with others. So there's commentary that's been added to this particular story. So I'm just going to look at a little bit of it. Nan Quan said, "The way is not in knowing or in not knowing." So if we think that it's we just want to just get to the point of not knowing, and this other Chinese teacher, Nan Quan or Nan Zen, he says it's the way is neither knowing nor not knowing. So we want to, there's a part of our mind that wants to come down on one side or the other. Okay, if I just direct my mind to not knowing, then I'll be good. I'll be reaching the Buddha place. I'll be entering enlightenment. But Nan Zen says it's in neither knowing nor in not knowing. And so really our practice, meditation practice, is helping us to, or encouraging this seeing the two sides of reality, that there is this side that knows, that we can't escape either. Now, there's the knowing side that sometimes is more obvious, sometimes less obvious, and then there's the opposite that's also there. And we tend, as humans, we want to swing to one side or the other, but really both encompass what it means to be a human being. Here's another little bit of insight into this. How do we actually practice this I don't know? Old Master Chi Jiao said, in walking, in sitting. So in other words, in whatever posture you happen to be in, whether you're sitting up, whether you're walking, whether you're lying down, whether you're standing, whatever posture you happen to be in, just hold to the moment before thought arises. Just hold to the moment before thought arises. Look into it, and you'll see not seeing. And then put it to one side. When you direct your effort like this, rest does not interfere with meditation study. Meditation study does not interfere with rest. Okay, so let's unpack this just a little bit. Just hold to the moment before thought arises. So it's very natural to have thoughts while we're sitting in meditation. Totally natural and normal. We don't have to try to get rid of thoughts while we're sitting. But can we look, can we see what's going on just underneath those thoughts? And really, the way that I do that is by noticing sensations in my body. You know, what are the actual physical sensations that oftentimes accompany the thoughts that are going on in my mind? But I get so pulled by the thoughts that I'm not actually rooting my attention in my body. But we can do that now. Just take a few moments right now. Find a posture just to take a moment just to notice, what's going on in your brain, in your own mind. Kind of directing your gaze downwards, but leaving your eyes open. And let's just see for just a second here, what's going on inside. You may not be having any thoughts at all, or maybe you are, but you're just not discerning them, and that's okay. But just see. See if you can root your attention in the sensations in your body. It could be in your core here. You might feel a little bit of maybe movement or tingling in your core, in your abdomen, or you might not. Just hold still just for a few moments and see where's the sensation in your body before the thoughts arise. As thoughts arise, as thoughts begin to arise in your mind, just bring your attention back down. Just kind of drop your awareness down into the sensations in your body. That's all. It may help also to have your eyes open and even to look at be aware of what's in the periphery of your vision. That can also be a way of grounding us in the present moment by having our eyes open and awareness of what's in the periphery of our vision. So our attention is both outward and inward. We're not just exclusively drawing our attention inwards, but also having our attention outward. Thoughts may still be there, and that's okay. You can allow them to be there and just redirect our attention into sight, into bodily sensation. It's a nice metaphor here that follows. Master Tu Jing said, quote, "Once the golden dragon strays from the water, the giant Garuda bird quickly picks it up." So the water is the home, considered the home of the dragon. And the dragon may be another way of talking about our own innate wisdom. The dragons in China and Japan are considered symbols of wisdom. And when we stray from our home, which is mindfulness of our body or attention to the present moment. You know, the present moment is what the Zen masters say. The present moment is our true home. Our true home can only be found in the present moment. And when we stray from our home, the Garuda bird, which is the arch enemy, the arch rival of the dragon, picks it off. And that happens with us too. You know, as we sit, when our attention kind of floats away into the future or into the past, we can get pulled by our thoughts. Whole other worlds are created that don't actually have any physical existence, and yet they feel so real in our mind. And so returning, like a dragon returning to the water, that's what Zazen is. That's what this meditation practice is. It's it's like coming home, coming back into the present moment. That's what we're aiming to do, is to return home. We want to feel some sense of at-homeness in this moment. It may not feel, and here's the thing, we may not feel at home in the present moment because we don't like some aspect of how our body feels or how it looks. So just, leaving room for that possibility too, that we may not find comfort, complete comfort in the present moment. A question we can ask is, how do we come home? Or maybe the question could be, where is home? Where is home? The Buddha Dharma continues to point us towards the direction of the present moment as home. But this may not be as simple as it sounds. It may be quite challenging sometimes to kind of redirect our mind in that way, for various reasons. But still, that's a kind of a question or a kind of a koan for us. And maybe we need to go out on pilgrimage, to find our true home sometimes. It could be a literal pilgrimage or maybe a kind of an internal pilgrimage where we're searching. Where do I rest my mind? Where can I rest my mind? Or maybe another question to ask is, where does my mind want to rest? So instead of being directive of our mind, I'm going to place it here, I'm going to place it there. Maybe just allow your mind to rest itself. So more receptive and open stance to meditation rather than being directive with our mind, just allowing our mind to do what it will. My teacher's teacher, Oyama Roshi, she says, let yourself be babysat by Zazen. So there's no kind of controlling of our mind. You can try that if it's helpful for you. If the directing approach doesn't work, you can just kind of be here and see where your mind goes. So we want to use a little bit of discerning wisdom as we move through this retreat too. Sometimes we may want our mind to be more receptive and open, non-directing it. But if we find that our mind is kind of not really present, not really focused, we may want to then practice some direction and maybe place our attention on our breathing. You can follow your breath and just see if that's helpful for coming back home. Do you find, you can know if you're home if you find some degree of ease in your mind and body, some degree of ease. Okay. I want to kind of bring this to an end and look at this particular story at the end of this koan, kind of towards the end of the commentary. There's a story about our senses. kind of personification of our senses. It says, mouth asked nose, eating is up to me. Now, that's the function of the mouth. The mouth eats. Eating is up to me. Speaking is up to me. The mouth speaks, right? The tongue. Talking about the sense organ of the tongue. The tongue tastes food. And the tongue, without this tongue, you wouldn't be able to understand a thing I'm saying if I didn't have a tongue, right? We should thank our tongues. We don't think about how important our tongues are until we lose it. And luckily, hopefully, we don't have to lose it, but sometimes that's what it takes. Eating is up to me. Speaking is up to me. What good are you that you are above me? So the mouth is asking the nose, or it's asking the nose, why are you above me? If you think of above being better than, why is this nose above? Why are you above me? I speak and I can eat. Those are vital functions. What good is a nose? What good does a nose do? The nose said, among the 5 mountains, I think that's another way of talking about the 5 senses. Eyes, ears, mouth, nose, tongue. Among the 5 senses, among the 5 mountains rather, the central one occupies the honored position. So the nose is right in the center of all of the sense gates. It's a kind of interesting way to think about our senses. You ever think about your nose as the kind of the center of our face? It's a central sense gate. So it's because it takes that central place, it's more important than the mouth. Well, I don't know more important, but nose then asked eyes, why are you above? Eyes said, we are like the sun and moon. Truly, we have the accomplishment of illumination and reflection. So that's an honored place to be too, Your eyes go above the nose. The eyes can see. Eyes can illuminate our world. It's like the sunshine comes in and light brightens up the environment around us, and our eyes are able to see that. It's pretty amazing. We dare ask, the eyes ask, we dare ask eyebrows, what virtue do they have to be above us? What virtue do the eyebrows have to be above the eye? If we think about, this mouth being important, but the nose being even more important, eyes being more important than the nose, what about the eyebrows? They're above the eyes. What function do they serve? Do they see? No. Do they hear? Can't hear with your eyebrows. Do they taste anything? What are they doing? Eyebrows said, we really have no merit. We are ashamed to be in the higher position. If you let us below, let the eyes look from above. What face holes are you? So that's the story. It's a really interesting thing to think about. What's the function of these eyebrows here? What's the function of them? Do they have one? So Bao Ye Ming, the Chan master, said in a lecture, an ancient said, in the eyes it's called seeing, in the ears it's called hearing, but tell me, in the eyebrows, what is it called? What is it called in the eyebrows? What do the eyebrows do? They don't have, what function do they serve? What's their purpose? In sorrow we grieve together, in happiness we rejoice together. Everybody knows the useful function, but they don't know the useless great function. Here we go. There's a little key there. The useless great function. What a wonderful kind of play here. We can chew on this during this afternoon. To have the great function of uselessness. No function to the eyebrows. How about you as a whole? We have this aspect of ourself that desires to be useful, desires to be needed, and that's an important thing. But there's also another side of us that desires to be useless, that doesn't want to be used in some way. It's just our basic being that is enough. The fact that we're alive is enough. I think related to this, a couple of I don't know if anybody has heard of Martin Buber, I and Thou. Has anybody heard of him? He's a wonderful Jewish theologian that I really love his writings. Really deeply respect him. He writes a book called I and Thou, and it's about this relationship. He basically says there's two kinds of relationship. If you want to boil every relationship down, there's basically two. There's a relationship he calls the I-thou, which is this relationship where there is love. That's the only relationship where God can really enter into. It's a relationship of mutual respect. And then there's the I-it relationship, where we see people as things, objects as objects. It can be a manipulative. It's a relationship of use or useless. Either you're useful or not useful kind of relationship. It's a master-slave relationship. And in that particular relationship, you cannot find God. And here's a description of that I-it relationship. We are told that man, he uses the word man, but it means human race, experiences his world. What does this mean? Man goes over the surfaces of things and experiences them. He brings back from them some knowledge of their condition and experience. He experiences what there is to things. He's describing an I-it relationship, a relationship that involves experiencing stuff, whether it's an activity or a person or whatever it is. It's when we go out to experience. And Zen Master Dogen talks about in Genjo Koan, he says, that you go out and experience myriad things is delusion. So in the Zen tradition, we talk about this in terms of delusion and enlightenment. But it is not experiences alone that bring the world to man. For what they bring to him is only a world that consists of it, and it, and it. Of he, and she, and she, and it. I experience something. All this is not changed by adding inner experiences to the external ones, in line with the non-eternal distinction that is born of mankind's craving to take the edge off of the mystery of death. Isn't that what, when you think about that, isn't that what we crave? We don't want to feel the intensity of not knowing. We take the mystery. If we could just place things and people into categories and think that we understand them, it kind of pulls us away from the sense of mystery of that person or of our life in general. Inner things like external things, things among things, makes no difference whether it's an internal experience or an external experience. All this is not changed by adding mysterious experiences to manifest ones. One's self-confident in the wisdom that recognizes a secret compartment in things reserved for the initiated and holds the key. Oh, mysteriousness without mystery. Sometimes we can even use that word mystery to undo the mystery. Oh, piling up of information. It. That's another way to consider. This is how sometimes we use our world, and especially now at our fingertips, whatever information that we want. We just pile it up, experience upon experience upon experience, knowledge. And Buber is saying that there's limits to that kind of use of our perception. I don't think it's, I don't think he's saying we shouldn't try to know things or learn. That's definitely not. At least that's not what the Zen teaching is about. But there's just another side. There's another side to reality besides just piling up of information, whether it's an internal experience or an external experience. So I'll close with this story in the Chuang Tzu. This is a Taoist writing. Zhu Qi of Nampo was wandering around the hill of Shang when he saw a huge tree there. Different from all the rest, 1,000 teams of horses could have taken shelter under it, and its shade would have covered them all. Zhu Qi said, "What tree is this? It must certainly have some extraordinary usefulness." But looking up, he saw that the smaller limbs were gnarled and twisted, unfit for beams or rafters. And looking down, he saw that the trunk was pitted and rotten and could not be used for coffins. He licked one of the leaves, and it blistered his mouth and made it sore. He sniffed the odor, and it was enough to make a man drunk for 3 days. "It turns out to be a completely unusable tree," said Zhu Qi, "and so it has been able to grow this big. Aha! It is this unusableness that the Holy One makes use of." So I will leave you with that thought. Thank you.